Do, 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 do. Here we go. Alright. Let's pop out chat. I need to put the volume up. I can barely hear it. Here we go. Give everybody a second. By everybody, I mean mainly me. Okay. Welcome! Hello! I'm still kind of sleepy, but it's time to get this done. I want to get this done over stream. Because it would be so boring to just sit here and do this, but, welcome, welcome one, welcome all. So, today, guys, what I am going to do, or I guess what we're gonna do, is I made these head turnarounds because I saw a bunch of featured artists doing them to sort of help out with my comics, so I can just copy-paste them. The funny thing about Aloe is she has asymmetrical hair, which makes her kind of a pain in the ass. So, what we gotta do today is we gotta take, I already did one row, but we gotta take every single row I did, and I did a lot. And we have to fix the hair so that it is on the correct side. Luckily, I don't think this is gonna take too long. Unluckily, it is kind of tedious. But yeah. Let me just open up my timer so I know how long I worked today. I haven't been doing the best job at keeping track of my timer, but I really need to. Here we go. So let's go. Let's see if we can do this in like an hour and a half. Maybe. I'd love to be able to do this in an hour. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this in an hour. The thing about streaming too is it kind of slows me down because it makes my pen very laggy, and I haven't figured out why. Because my computer should just not be this laggy. Like, it doesn't really make sense for my computer specs. I gotta figure that out. But, I think what would make the most sense, welcome, is if I pull up some reference of Aloe, so that I make sure that I am drawing her hair correctly. So here's this, we did it over stream. I am planning on, I'm gonna actually pull this into my other monitor. I am actually planning on streaming a lot more. But, yeah, I'm excited. How is June going for you guys? Welcome. I don't know how I found this channel. It was really random right now, but I'm already super interested. Well, prepare to be disappointed. Nah. Today's gonna be kind of chill. It's gonna be kind of chill. I think I already did this one. I mean, did I already do this one? I started doing these hair flips in a blur last night. I had quite the day yesterday. And I just don't remember whether I did this or not. Oh, let's do this. Maybe I need to see a sketch. Yesterday was just one of those days, you know? When I have a really bad day, I buy myself a brush pack, and I bought myself like a whole like $20 brush pack. It's kind of tiring, but today I'm feeling a lot better. You guys see how laggy this is? Do you see? I turned off the freaking sketch, and this is so laggy. It took like several seconds for the sketch to turn off. Okay, I think that's good enough. So, welcome. If you have just arrived, I am correcting these hairs. Aloe, I did a whole bunch of head turnarounds, and unfortunately, Aloe has asymmetrical hair, which means that for every single hair turnaround that I did, for me to be able to use it in the opposite direction, I have to go in manually and draw in all the hair in the other direction. So that's a thing. This is why I have one video where I say over and over again, don't make characters unnecessarily asymmetrical. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, guys. I swear, don't do it. I mean, I like Aloe's hairstyle, so I'm cool with it, but like, if you're thinking about adding just like a random asymmetrical detail, just think again, and maybe don't. That's my advice for today. It is suffering. It is suffering. In the Potion Shop episodes, if you read that, which is my sister, which it's the original's over, so if you have, that's nice. But I don't expect you to. Aloe has some sort of like, I think it's a bracelet, I don't know, on her left arm. And every single chapter, I'd have to go in at the very end and double check to see if I drew it in. And I kept forgetting. So I don't recommend. Old Final Fantasy music is such a mood. You know what? I wonder if Catherine, that video game that was popular like 10 years ago, if that OST is on Spotify. Because I really like the OST. It's like classical music. It's remixed classical music, basically. And there were a lot of the music in it I already knew and I liked when the game came out because we played it in my high school orchestra class. I'm like, yeah, I have this cello part memorized. Okay, I'm gonna check chat. Oh, welcome. Did I already say June is confusing? I agree. June is... It's one of those months. It's like you forget that it's no longer spring, but is it really summer? Is it? I am done with my finals, so I finally feel alive. What a mood. I'm behind on my Webtoon schedule. RIP. What a mood. This has been the best month of the year for me. My favorite anime franchise came out with two movies. Oh, exciting. I'm super behind on my comic schedule, but that's okay. We live and adapt. Also a mood. Oh, thank you. Oh, welcome Adobo. I am always excited to see my friend Dobo in chat. Maybe it's the canvas size. No, this is absolutely fine if I don't have OBS open. But again, I kind of have to have it this big, cause like, I mean, I guess not right now, but when I was doing the original illustrations, I had to do it this big because I was literally looking at every single one to make sure that things are like, they're not perfectly in proportion. Like if you would animate this would be wonky as heck, but like close enough. Because you're never going to see these next to each other because I'm going to copy paste them randomly. I also have this problem with Slipsy Paint. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yesterday in the brush pack I bought, I bought this really expensive brush pack because I was like, oh, you know what? I've had a tough day. Someone just gave me some birthday money, even though my birthday was a long time ago. I'm gonna buy this really expensive brush pack. And it came with like a bunch of previews. And I thought that I had big files, and I tried to open up the previews, and Clip Studio Paint was like not having it. It took like 5 minutes to open up one of them. The file was huge. Like, I think it was max size. I used to do like max size almost for my comic. I do like I think 1600 by 50,000 pixels. But I would only do max size in one direction. This was like it max size in both directions. So it was like 50,000 times 50,000. That's how you get how many pixels were in it, you know? Which is it's a large number. It's a lot significantly bigger than 50,000 by 1,600. But my computer was very unhappy. I had to write it an apology letter. It was not having it. I have to draw on her other eyebrow. Sometimes the eyes go through her hair, sometimes they don't. This one I tried to make it go through her hair and it didn't look right for this particular angle. So I just didn't. So, yeah. Oh, do you want to see? I learned a neat trick. I've been watching a lot of Korean streamers. I have no idea what they're saying, but I just watch them work on Webtoons. So, you click on this line in object mode. I'm drawing on a vector layer. That's probably part of why this file is so laggy. And then you take your arrow keys and you can just tap. I didn't know that. This would save me so much time because it can be really hard to make super duper fine adjustments using your stylus, even if you have steady hands. But you can just use your arrow keys and just go like, ooh, ah. I got a little too excited about that. Yeah. Come on, I'm trying to draw. Clip Studio, come on, Clip Studio. Oh, I love this one. This is such a good battle theme. I hope you guys can hear the music or I'm gonna sound like a freaking psycho. This is such a good battle theme. What is she talking about? I hear nothing. You probably don't hear anything with my luck. Let's be real here. Alright. Let's see. I'm going to read. How do you use this head turnarounds? I will just I'll copy paste them into the comic. And I've had a lot of thoughts about this. Because it's like, on one hand, it helps to draw as many things as possible. So you get better at drawing. But like, this will make things faster, and for this new version, I'm going to go back to longer episodes, because like, as unnecessary as I think doing long episodes are for Canvas, and it's kind of like, it's not really helping, I just want to do long episodes. I felt happiest when I was doing long episodes, so I want to go back to doing long episodes. Doing the short episodes was not satisfying for me, even though it was less work. So, yeah. But I'll copy paste these and then I'll change the expression. I think these will last me... I don't know. I'd be happy if these will last me a year. Because my art is still improving a lot. So at some point I will have to redo these. But if these could last me like 20 to 30 episodes, I would be very happy. But I'll just copy paste them and I'll make adjustments. Like redrawing the face, I might occasionally go back into this doc and make corrections, because there's always corrections to be made. I mean, not always, but like, you know what I mean. I'm not at the level where I can say like, these don't need corrections. Because sometimes I can see something's wonky and I just don't know how to fix it, you know? But it should be a time saver. I would not recommend doing this if you're very new at art. Cause like, when I did the first run of this comic, I was not ready to do this. If I made these, they would last me like a month. Cause my art was just changing so quickly. These wouldn't have even lasted me like 10 episodes. These would have lasted me like maybe 5 or 6 if I was lucky. Not like this quality, but like if I was to do a head turnaround back in 2020. So they're more helpful if your art is stabilized. And I'm just doing these for Aloe and Vera. I might do them for some of the other characters, but I think I'll do them later on when I do a season break or something. Because like there's a couple of other characters that are gonna appear a lot, but they don't appear a lot in the beginning because I'm trying to introduce Aloe and Vera, so they're appearing a lot. And there's only room for so many people to appear a lot, you know? Okay, let's check chat. I can't stay, but fighting! Yeah, thank you. I will look at the video after the live. I'm sad, but I think this will help me prepare what I'm doing for my Webtoon. Yeah, I hope this helps. I might do a lot more streams where I'm just making assets, because I'm pretty behind on the drawing side. But now that I have some more free time, I should be able to. Making assets is like, it's kind of like one must clear one's mind, you know? And stream is a great way to clear one's mind. Because normally I watch all kinds of weird stuff while I draw. Like, recently I've been watching like a mix of like marketing videos and like videos about nuclear disasters. So, if you ever wonder, hey, what's going through her head while she's drawing That Which Is My Sister? Now you know. Let's get this. Oh, did I have this on? I need to make a freaking shortcut for switching vector type erasers. I think I gotta get rid of that. Maybe that's my issue. I think I know how to draw her hair after 40-something episodes. Her hair did change a lot during the time in between when I ended the original and now. Because I wasn't really drawing her for a while. Besides in just, like, doodles. Because I think the original series ended off with Vera. Mainly. I think Aloe shows up a couple more times in the original, but... Next up is drawing Vera. So I gotta... It's time to figure out Vera's hair. I kinda understand Vera's hair, but I'm not gonna lie. Even after so many episodes. There's still a lot of work to do on trying to figure out Vera's hair. I want to make it like... I think I discussed this with chat before. But I think the new direction I'm going for it is kind of like a little bit Princess Peachy, where it's more like a 3D simplification than hair that makes sense. because it looks nice. And that's something I have to keep in mind that I don't think normal people have to keep in mind. That since I am a YouTuber too, all of my characters need to look nice in thumbnails. That way I don't have to keep drawing thumbnails. Because for a while, it kind of got into this cycle where I was doing all this stuff that I just can't show publicly. So I'd have to just draw new thumbnails from scratch because what I was doing for the speed paint didn't really look nice as a thumbnail. Which would make me draw this even less. So I was spending less time. It's like a cycle. It's a deadly cycle. But yeah, something important for me is to make characters that are easy to read in thumbnails, which I think will help make the comic look better anyway. But it's definitely something to keep in mind. And I think the Princess Peach hair, it has a little bit of oomph to it. All right, let us read chat. Have I ever streamed on Twitch before? I have streamed on Twitch a couple times, but the thing about Twitch is there's a big difference in discoverability. So on Twitch, it is sorted by viewer count and the person's previous watch history on Twitch. So to really get into the algorithm, you have to already have viewers. So it's really just sorted by viewer count, but a little bit more elaborately. YouTube, I noticed, I think I've mentioned this before, after each stream, I will have like 5 to 10 more subscribers. I have no idea why you guys would join me. Thank you very much for joining me. But that leads me to believe that YouTube is showing this to a significant number of new people every time I stream on here. And also, I am already a YouTube partner, so you guys don't have to, but if you wanted to super chat, or if you wanted to become a member and get some cool emotes, maybe one day I gotta do an emo stream, but I gotta catch up on this first. You could. It is an option. Not forcing you to, but it is an option indeed. While Twitch, it would take me forever to build up to like affiliate or partner, just because like it's hard to move people off-site somewhere. Only your most dedicated followers are going to follow you to a different site to do something. Oh, this song's a bop too. This is like an Evil Pope type song. I was having this discussion. For some reason, anime really likes evil popes. I don't know why. Japanese JRPGs too. They really like their evil popes. I don't know what it's supposed to mean. I don't know where I was going with that, but when I think fantasy anime, I do in fact think evil pope. Let's lower these a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. That arrow key trick is it's just so clean. So clean. It's way better than me trying to maneuver. Also, you can kind of tell, well, maybe not because I'm zoomed in, but I can seriously tell which ones of these I did first because they look so much worse than I got, like, gradually better as I drew this whole character sheet, which is part of why I'm like, this is not gonna last the whole series. But you can tell which ones I drew first. Also work with big files, it is my religion. It makes things so much easier for Webtoon. So much easier. And Webtoon sizes are too small to use in promotional images. If I use the same size that I export to Webtoon to post on like Instagram or on a YouTube thumbnail, it looks blurry as heck. Especially because they have to be super duper compressed, which I understand. That's probably the main cost of Canvas is server size. I mean, just holding our comics on there. So, understandable. However, I do think it would be nice that if you have a certain size following, that you'd be allowed to post higher quality images. I know that doesn't sound like a quite fair way to do it, but I don't know how else to do it besides number of episodes, which I think could be easily abused, but like, I think at least some people should be able to post higher size images. People who are doing well enough that they're, I don't know. That's a debate to be had in the future, but, or at least like, maybe like there's like a per, instead of like a total size limit, there's like a per splice limit. Cause like, I can't tell you how many times before I did shorter episodes I reached max file size. Like, there's a lot of episodes, especially in the beginning when I didn't really understand how many slices would be would hit the max episode length. There were a lot of times that I hit it and I had to divide it into multiple, which sounds good, but it's like, that's not what my intention was. Like, the prologue, before I did the reader, the original prologue, it was 2 parts, but it was all supposed to be in 1 episode. Because, I hit the max size. And I didn't know how to deal with it, so I was like, alright. Okay, I'll deal with it by posting this a couple days later. Have I gone on a rant on stream about Final Fantasy II? Because if I haven't, then, now you're gonna get it. Because I'm thinking about Final Fantasy II because we're listening to the 5th OST, I think? Oh, 4th OST. Final Fantasy II. It's a wild game. In Final Fantasy II, they were like, leveling up? Boring. Let's not do leveling up. In Final Fantasy II, you gain stats based off of what you do, which sounds more like real life, which is kind of neat. However, in Final Fantasy II, there is a fatal flaw in the system. In Final Fantasy II, you are allowed to attack your own allies. So the best way of leveling up is you go to the weakest area in the game and you just beat the heck out of your own party over and over again until you're ready to move on to the next thing. And it's a little bit different than normal grinding, because like, okay, if you're beating up your party members, your party's gonna get stronger, which means that you're gonna beat them up more, but they're also gonna have more HP. So it's sort of like this cycle where you get stronger and stronger way, way faster than you're supposed to in the game. It is just, I don't know. Something about it is kind of like, it gets rid of a lot of the replay value, but something about it's a little bit satisfying. Like, alright, I want my healer to have better MP. What do? I beat the heck out of my swordsman, and I just have her heal over and over again. And we don't even attack the monsters. At the end, we just run away. I had so many battles where like the monsters would be like, actually I'm out. And I'm like, no, I was in the middle of beating up my own party member. Poor Maria. But that's Final Fantasy II for you. I got it for my phone, I think in high school or middle school. And let me tell you, it's not a very good port, but it was a fun one. I think I played it on a trip to New York. Yeah, I think a trip to New York. I was trying to think whether it was to Florida or New York, but I think it was to New York. I got to go on multiple school trips because I was in both band and orchestra for a while. and it was not the school's intention for people to be allowed to be in both band and orchestra. So I just went on a couple of trips. It was nice. Actually, it wasn't. I had a bad time in Florida, but we don't talk about that. Okay, let's read chat. 50K. I think that's talking about pixels. Maybe not cash. If you're talking about cash, 50K. That's a lot. Mine would die on the spot. My computer. Yeah, I used to do 50K by 1600. But that file that I opened up the other day was massive. Which Korean YouTuber so I can subscribe? I would not be able to tell you off the top of my head because I'm not that great at memorizing Korean names yet. I've been trying to get into a lot more Korean culture stuff, and I started a Discord server where we're planning on studying Korean together, and I bought some books, and I'm having some fun, but it's been very slow going because I have to focus on this more. But I'm really excited to get more into Korean culture. But just search up the Korean word for Webtoon, and you gotta look pretty hard because I think YouTube is like, oh, Korean word for Webtoon? That's the same word as the English word for Webtoon, so it shows you a lot of English stuff. What I do a lot, this is actually probably one of the most helpful things, is if you have a really bad sleep schedule, either late at night or early in the morning, go on Twitch, go into the art section, and set language mode to Korean only. And I will just watch, I will look through and I'll find people working on their webtoons, and I will just watch. And a lot of the times it's uneventful and I can't understand what's going on, but every once in a while I see something and I'm like, holy crap, I never would have thought about that, and I've never seen anyone do that here. It's very inspiring. I've also been watching some tutorials, but again, I don't know Korean as well as I don't really know Korean, let's be real here. I'm partway through learning the alphabet, but if I watch something in Japanese, I'll have to look stuff up, but I can follow it. I can't really follow any Korean. So I will just look for tutorials on YouTube, and I will go in and watch them. If I don't get what's going on, I'll go in frame by frame. To go frame by frame on YouTube, I think it's the comma key and the period key, and I'll just watch what they're doing. Many late nights have been spent that way. I would say it was a bad use of my time, but it's honestly a great use of my time, because that's sort of how I discovered several things that I think are going to save a lot of time long term from just watching. Because when you think about it, Webtoon has been a thing in Korea for much longer. Webtoons in general. So they have a lot of really time-saving techniques that maybe haven't made their way here because not a lot of people speak Korean in the US. So there's some helpful stuff, but it's very time-consuming to actually figure out how to do things, if that makes sense. And I also follow some people who make Naver Cafe courses too, and occasionally they'll post like little mini tutorials. I can't read them, but I will just stare at the pictures and I'll try to figure it out. But that's almost more helpful than being able to actually follow the tutorials in some ways, because like if you figure it out without being able to understand what they're saying, you've really figured it out. You will not forget. If I just look at a tutorial and I read it, I might forget it. But if you sit there for like half an hour and you try to figure something out, you will not forget. Hello? I'll go through chat. I'm so behind on chat, guys. Dio flashbacks. I'm just gonna skim chat so we can catch up to now. Final Fantasy. I just joined. What's going on? I'm drawing head turnaround so I can copy paste, hopefully, for at least one series. I do know Japanese though. Konnichiwa. Watashi no, I don't know that kanji. I need to restudy kanji. Teru koto wakaranai no desu ka? Wakaranai no desu ka? I'd answer you, but I don't know what that one kanji is. I need to get back into studying kanji. I have a friend who's studying for N5. Maybe I should study with her. But I'm trying to learn Korean too. I'm trying to learn Korean. But should I study kanji? But wait, I'm trying to work on my comic. Now you understand the predicament. There's not enough time on this planet for me to learn everything I'm interested in. So I gotta do my best to live a long life. That's the only way to accomplish it. I'll wait until I'll grow old, but I'll grow old slowly. And then one day they'll have robot bodies, and then I'll be young again, and then I will study again. I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know. Here on the stream, you get the mind of Rochella unfiltered. I'm not sure that's what you want, but you got it. That's what you get today, fam. That's what you get. It'd be easier, but why have I not been drawing this on a separate layer and just merge it? Do you guys see this? Do you see this laggy BS? These are not, I swear, these are not the lines that my hand has been drawing. It's like, let me try to draw a circle. Okay, it's a little bit better now. I'm just like, come on! This is hard enough to draw when it's doing what I want it to do. Where are the sketches? There we go. Yeah, these are totally off. This is another thing. I'm not big brain to show you guys how to make it right now, but this is another thing I saw a Korean streamer do. I couldn't find the actual tool, but like, they had this like box thingy and then they were able to select vector lines instead of like this BS where you have to tap and then hold shift, and I'm just like, no. That takes forever. But with this guy that I recreated, I don't think I recreated it perfectly. If you do it, stop it, Clip Studio. If you do it perfectly, you select, no, this is going against me. If you do it perfectly, you can select all of them with ease. Just stay calm. that was certainly something. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Thank you for the kanji help. I need to practice more. The IQ level. Yeah. N5 is for beginners. Pass me the adobo meme. I need some freaking like adobo. We need to have some emote crossover, because I need the handsome Squidward Marcellus like in my chat right now, and YouTube doesn't have this thing where you can use other people's emotes in your chat yet, in other people's chats yet. They're working on it supposedly, but they haven't done it yet. If you guys do make YouTube videos, I doubt any of you do, but, well, maybe some. I really recommend checking out, I think it's called the Creator Insider channel. It's something that's relatively new. It picked up, by relatively new, I mean they started doing it after I initially became a YouTuber when I did song covers. So a lot of these questions just went unanswered. They answer a lot of really helpful questions about YouTube, and they like legitimately look in the comment section for Creator Insider for suggestions on what to do, and the channel is run by some of the programmers at YouTube, which is nice. So they're actually looking, but not a lot of people know about it. But they showed some previews of some pretty cool stuff, and then I'm just like, why is this not out yet? I'd like to use this now. Like, in the future, you're gonna be able to adjust how long the countdown is before you do the premieres, which I would kill for right now. Because what happens is I will get several people in... Oops. I will get several people in my stream before a premiere starts, and then the 2-minute countdown will start, and they'll go like, I can't wait 2 more minutes. And then they'll all leave. And the thing is, the premiere countdown is kind of like, the music for it is kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying. I also leave if it's not my own premiere. I'll come back if I remember. But it would be nice for it to just be like 10 seconds, or for it to be like the 2 minutes before the time that the premiere is supposed to start, so that people don't have to wait an additional 2 minutes. And for whatever reason, you have to schedule the premiere on the 5-minute mark, I think. Otherwise, I just schedule the premieres for like, let's say 1:58 or like 11:58. But it's a little annoying. Oh, you can definitely tell this is one of the first ones I did. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is one of the first ones I did for sure. See, just a couple of days later, I'm just looking at this. I'm like, this needs this correction, this needs that correction. I'm gonna be lucky if these last me 30 episodes. 30 episodes. At some point, I will redo these. Not everything is forever. Japanese is the Dark Souls of languages. Japanese is fun. Yeah, I think it's fun. But, I'm kind of a weirdo. I was, president of the Japanese language learning club in high school. I did not do a very good job teaching. If there was like an actual Japanese course at my high school, I would have taken it. But, we just had a club and we'd watch anime. We'd usually watch or in high school host club or the beginning of like JoJo, and then everybody would be like, why are you trying to get me into JoJo? I wasn't into JoJo yet in high school, so I was also like, why have we watched the first episode of JoJo 5 times in this club? The vice president was a big fan the year that I was president. But I studied hiragana and katakana and kanji on my own. And mainly what I use my Japanese for is just, I read tutorials and I watch anime. So my speaking, it's not the best. I think doing song covers helped me because I had to get at least okay-ish pronunciation to be able to do lyrics, sing lyrics. But, I don't know. I think learning languages is fun, but it's not everybody's thing. Korean's gonna be really interesting to learn though, because like Japanese I could at least be like, oh, I already knew this word, this is just how you write this word, and this is how the conjugations work. I don't have any of the conjugations memorized at this point. At some point I was into learning grammar, and I think that just went out the window when I started mainly just watching stuff and using it for that instead of like speaking to people. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Korean, I don't know any Korean. So once I learn the writing, which I'm almost done with, I gotta learn completely from scratch. So it's gonna be a challenge, I'm sure. But I am genuinely excited. have you downloaded the no gaps closing fill tool? Yeah, I have that. I do have that. If people don't know what that is, it is this. I call it the ice cream tool. What the ice cream tool does is, this is not a good page to show it on because there's so many. My line art has so many gaps in it, and I'm not planning on closing them. Let me just do a little doodle. And sorry, my computer's laggy as heck. It's a little bit harder for you guys to tell when I'm doing the hair corrections because I'm literally just doing hair corrections. But let's do... Whoa, what was that? What was that? Let's do... Oh, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm not gonna be a perfectionist. We gotta get back to doing hair corrections. We do this awful drawing of Aloe. And we pretend that it was great. This is great. This is quality. This is the quality you can expect to see in that, which is my sister. I'm sorry. You take this tool. This isn't close enough to do this, actually. This is why I use a lot of lasso tool. You take this tool, you hit this set reference layer thing, and you just go wee. And over here in my quick tools, I use a non-monitor tablet because I just like it better. I think it's more accurate. It's pretty simple. All you gotta do is just circle. It doesn't do it perfectly for my line art because I have a lot of holes in my line art. So then I just go in with this lasso fill tool, which I think is normally in your bucket tools, but I put it with selection because I almost always use it right after I use a selection. I almost never use it right next to me using the paintbrush for whatever reason, because I use the close gap tool instead. But yeah, you just do a little circle-y. And then the base color, you just clip the layer and you cry. You cry. You cry so hard. And then when you cry, it's done. You see this? These are my tears. They're flowing onto the page. One thing about using the lasso tool is, at first the lasso fill tool, at first it kind of sucks because you don't have the hand coordination for it. But then you start to get this really exact hand coordination, so I think it's really helped my overall drawing. Aloe. Hit transparent lock. And then I used to do Aloe's hair by hand. Now I just have a brush. Do you guys want to see what I used to do for Aloe's hair? It was like such a pain in the ass. Oh, you want to make sure that when you do Aloe's hair, I don't know why you'd be doing Aloe's hair. You turn the reference layer off because this hair stuff is set to respond to that. Because these aren't meant for Aloe's weird hair. These are meant to do hair highlights. I think someone the other day asked what the streak in Aloe's hair was supposed to be, and at some point it was something that made sense. Now I think it's just it just exists and I like it. That's about it. So what I used to do is I used to color the yellow, and then I'd go in with Momo and cream, and I'd do this for every single time I did Aloe's hair until I got it exactly the way I wanted it. That's how I used to do Aloe's hair. Maybe the first 20 chapters, maybe a little bit more than that. That's how I did Aloe's hair. Oh, it was until the start of the cafe. The start of the cafe arc is when I started using a brush, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. But this is it has like the same sort of like weird feel, but it's so much easier and it's clean. And then so normally I try to do it all in one stroke, but sometimes depending on the angle it doesn't look nice, so then I'll just do it in 3 strokes. And it's nice and quick and it's very consistent, and if I wanted to have somebody else do it for me, I could. But that's about it for that. Let's pretend that never happened. Let's see chat. That's why there's Vera's tears tier for my Patreon. I forgot how I came up with that. I was probably drawing a lot that day. Probably. Oh yeah, right now for my Patreon, almost all the rewards, I think with the exception of the wallpaper, are very YouTube focused. One day I think they'll be, one day I think they'll be more comic focused again, and then I'll move over my current rewards for YouTube memberships. But, because the comic's not ongoing, it'd be kind of weird to offer rewards like, you get to read the comic early, 3 months from now. Have fun, guys. That would be kind of awkward. It's not much of a reward. But you get early videos and stuff, it's cool. And you get my monthly wallpaper. Normally, before I was stuck in this pre-production limbo, the monthly wallpaper would be the only chance I'd have all month to do like actual illustration. Admittedly, I'm not really an illustrator. I like doing comics. I don't have the illustration bug where like I want everything to look perfect and painterly. Even if you look at like my paintings from school, it's always like I'm not purposefully trying to do it, but I'd very consistently have my professors go like, "You're very impressionistic, aren't you?" And I'm like, I guess. Even in like ceramics, I make a ceramic piece, and my professor would go. Actually, it was a TA. My TA would go, "This is a very impressionistic ceramic piece," and I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but thank you, I guess. I did get to take History of Impressionism. I think that was one of my favorite classes in college. I really enjoyed art history. If I had to go back, I don't think I'd be an art history major, but I might do a minor and then not be an art major. I think either business, history, or acting, or film studies. That doesn't really narrow it down. But I would not be an art major if I went back in time. But... Oh, I like this song. Isn't this song like an actual classical piece too? Maybe not. That one part I could have sworn is in a piece I already know. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I took History of Impressionism. Some of the stuff behind the scenes in Impressionism is like really messed up. Like, really messed up, like... Especially, I think, what's his name? Degas. There's some interesting stuff, and there's some stuff where you're like, oh, I thought that piece was supposed to be pretty. But it actually wasn't pretty. It was blatantly racist. Like, there's this one really famous statue of this, like, ballerina girl. And if you go and you look and you talk to the people who go see it at the museum, it's really pretty. But then my professor was talking about how she was supposed to have had like really exaggerated features, which I don't think she didn't. And I think it was supposed to portray someone who was half black in like a really racist light. But like now it looks normal. I don't know. So like without the historical context, it just looks like I don't know. It looks like a normal piece. But the piece was supposed to be really racist. Which it puts it into perspective. Especially when you look at the history of like there's a lot of ballet pieces in Impressionism. If you look into the history of the ballet, it is seriously messed up. It is seriously messed up. Like, it is sketch as heck. If the ballet was still the way it was back then, there would be a lot more people in prison. That's all I gotta say. But moving on to lighter ground. Jump. Saving up for an iPad. Adobe uses an iPad to draw. Would you recommend going to college for an art degree? I think it would depend. It would depend. Because, like, something important to know about my degree, if you're going like, oh, Rochelle did something, is I went for fine art. I did not go for illustration or animation or anything like that. So with a fine art degree, your goal is to essentially learn how to either become a professor or do gallery shows or become a curator. And I didn't know that when I signed up for it. I thought I'd get to draw all day like I do now. I spent barely any time drawing, less time drawing actually than when I was a computer science major. And I was pretty frustrated because I'm just not an artsy person. If you enjoy doing stuff like that, I think it's cool. Oh yeah, the other thing to consider too is I went to a state college. I did not go to an art school. So I am not in horrible debt actually, that's pretty great. If you do go to an art school, because I did apply to some art schools and I was like, I'm not gonna pay $50,000 a year for this, no thank you. But if you do go to art school, go to a really good art school, or just go to state school, or community college. Because, like, what will happen, this is the trap. You go to an art school that is pretty average, but, like, better than the school that I went to for learning how to draw or whatever. But, because I think my school was good at some things, but, like, you aren't gonna learn how to draw from them. I learned how to draw on my own. But I really recommend that you go to either a really, really great art school, or you just straight up go to a state college or a community college. Because what will happen is if you go to a school that's kind of in the middle, unless you're like the best of the best of your class, you're not going to be able to compete in the job market. And you're going to end up in a lot of debt. So it's like the worst case scenario, actually. Because I didn't learn what I wanted to, but now I have time to do this because I am not in outrageous debt. So I don't have to worry about money as much as most people who went to art school. But if you go to a sort of like a so-so art school that was really expensive and you don't end up getting a good job, you're gonna end up working a job probably at a place like Starbucks. I hate to say it, but that's like the realistic thing. But you're gonna end up working a job and you're gonna be like $50,000 in debt or more. Some people end up like $100,000 in debt. And then you're gonna end up in this cycle where you have to work more and more hours because you have to pay hundreds of dollars each month to pay for your debt, but you only have a minimum wage job. So you have to work more hours, so you're more tired, so you can spend less time in your art, so you're stuck in the minimum wage job for longer. It's a very vicious cycle. Not that I don't think it can work out, especially if you can afford it, but like you have to be on your A game if you choose to do something that expensive. I think you need to be on your absolute A game. But otherwise, like, art employers don't really look at your degree, they look at your skill. So you could just go to like a state college, or you could go to community college and you could pay significantly less and just work really hard and not be in debt, and you have a lot more flexibility, and hopefully you can move on with your life a little bit better. But I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I didn't go to a fancy art school, so I wouldn't be able to tell you that perspective. And I think something to know too is I'm a little biased because I didn't really fit in. Not that I really fit into most places, but like, my instructors, I was told many times in school what I was doing wasn't actual art, so that was very discouraging. I love this song. This is not from Final Fantasy V. What is this? Actually, I was listening to Final Fantasy IV. Yeah, this is Octopath Traveler. I was like, this is definitely not that OST. There are too many bits in this song. Too many bits. Being an artist can be so painful. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I love it though. I love drawing. Drawing is like my favorite thing. I am supposedly not a bad painter. I'm not really that great digitally, but like traditionally I'm a pretty decent painter, at least compared to my peers at where I went to school. But it doesn't have the same feeling. When I'm drawing, it's like I feel so alive, you know? I don't know how else to explain it. It's sort of like 3D. So I do know a little bit of 3D so that I could use 3D backgrounds for the comic. So I learned some Blender on my own. But I get asked a lot like, oh, why don't you just learn 3D and then go work for like Pixar or something? That sounds like a more attainable job to do than what you want to do. But it's like, it's not the same. I would say like, it's just not the same. I'm probably more naturally talented at 3D softwares, even though I'm not skilled at them, than I am at drawing. But like, drawing, it's like you get this feeling. This feeling that, I don't know. You guys are probably all artists, so you understand, but it's just not, it's not the same. There's just something like really, I don't know, powerful about it. It's the same reason that I like 2D animation over 3D, even though it's kind of a dumb debate. There's just something about it that's just, it feels really human, and I think that's kind of like, that's kind of the reason that you go to animation over doing live action. And I don't know. I think maybe like 3D in the future to get more of that feeling. Because 3D is such a new art. Like 2D animation has had almost 100 years more time than 2D. I mean, 2D animation has almost 100 years more time than 3D to develop. But like, so like maybe in the future 3D could capture that feeling for me, but it's just, it's not the same. It's not the same. I just want to draw lines. Is it still Octopath Traveler? This is really good. Oh, this is Chrono Cross. Huh. I should play the Chrono games. Oh, I love this song. This is Nier. This is Nier, right? I'm gonna be so mad if this isn't Nier. Yeah, it's Nier. 2D animation started in the 1890s. Yeah. School is relatively cheap compared to the US. I was thinking of studying in the US. Oh, this is Emil from Nier. This is, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm very behind on my comic, but, am I flipped in the right direction? Oh gosh. I lost track. I'm not. I'm still working on this one. This is not flipped in the right direction. Okay. I'm really behind on my reboot because I got distracted with other stuff, but don't worry about that. But, what was I saying? Oh, my reward after I finish the first 3 episodes, I still won't be ready to post because I'm going to do a buffer this time, but my reward is I'm going to buy the Nier remake. I'm so excited. Because I haven't played Nier, but I got so deep into Nier lore. I was watching so many interviews. I read all the wiki pages. I don't know why I did that for both Nier and the Dragon Dragoon series, which Nier is like a spin-off of, like really elaborately. And I'm just like, whoa. Whoa. The lore. The absolute lore. I know like sometimes even I'm pretty hard on world building and I'm like, no one wants to know your world building. And I'm just like reading through the Nier wiki pages or whatever it is called, Wikia, just going through every single one and clicking on all the links and learning all the relationships and how it deeply it's related to the mainline series. I don't know why. It was great. It was great. But that's my reward when I finish the first 3 episodes. I'm gonna buy myself Nier. And I'm very excited. So I have to hurry up so I can play Nier. Should definitely not study in the US. It is so expensive. Maybe study in Spain. I looked into studying in Canada, actually. And, like, it would be a little bit harder to get loans. But, like, it would literally be cheaper for me to go to Canada and live there than it would be for me to go to my local university. Like, I didn't do that because it made loans complicated, but I was seriously considering going to Canada, or I was looking at France too. Because, like, my French is too rusty now that I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show it off in chat. But I used to be very good at French. I went to a French immersion school for 7 years when I was a kid. And one of my parents is from a French-speaking country, so, like, I used to be good at French. Not anymore. It's been too long. I would say I was pretty decent in high school because I was studying for the AP exam. But it's like, it's so weird to have this thing that I used to be good at. And it used to be like, almost like a party trick. Like, okay, Rochelle, you're meeting someone new and I want you to impress them. Please speak French. And just see that they gradually fade away because I don't have anyone to speak to in French anymore, and it's kind of sad. And I'll watch stuff in French sometimes, but it's just, I'm probably honestly have an easier time watching stuff in Japanese than in French at this point because I just watch way more stuff in Japanese than French. This song's so catchy. If you can reveal world building through characters and events, most people do want to know your world building. Yeah. I agree with that. I just mean, like, I had not played any of the Nier games yet, and I think it was before Nier Automata came out, and I didn't even watch a game playthrough. I just read through all of the wiki pages for Nier. It was a strange week, I'll tell you that. It was a strange week. It would be cheaper for me to go in Japan. Yeah, I can imagine that. Please don't dump it in the first 3 episodes. Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that's something that's nice about doing my rewrite. Like, I think your first instinct is you want to share so much about your world with everyone as soon as possible. But because it's my rewrite, it's like I have kind of the opposite instinct, because it's like I'm in love with it, but at the same time, I'm so over it, if that makes sense. So I'm almost like, you guys should know by now. You should know, even though you don't. So I almost have to just make sure that I explain things. Not like super explainy, but it can be hard to remember sometimes that like, oh yeah, there are people who are probably gonna read this who didn't read the original. Oh yeah. Get down. But where was I going with this? Yeah, it can be hard sometimes to remember that there are probably gonna be a lot of people who will read this that haven't read the original. But at the same time, I don't want to overdo introductions. Like, that's definitely something I did during the editing phase of this. Like, I was able to get rid of a lot of episodes at the beginning because I was cutting out. I was putting in too much unnecessary dialogue in my first draft because I was so used to trying to do the tone of the original one when this is more serious. So I was able to actually cut out half of the content of the first episode and the second episode and half the content of the third episode and fuse them together into one episode, which is nice because third episode had a more satisfying ending. That's something too I'm going to keep in mind with the new rewrite. I'm going to do a lot more like suspenseful endings each episode. I don't know if cliffhangers are a word, but I'm going to try to end on like either you want to know something, there's a cliffhanger, or a character is stating a question. If that makes sense. I think that's the good way to do it. Because I think sometimes, this is something I realized too from watching more featured artists talk about things recently. Your most important fans are the ones that come back every week, so you want to make something that's exciting for them to come back to. Like, if you're here for the first time at my live stream, I appreciate you too. But if I see you over and over again, I know that you are very important. A very important person. But yeah. If I do recognize you, I've seen your name in chat quite a few times. I might not say it, but I do appreciate you coming. But also, if you're here for the first time, I also appreciate you. I also appreciate you. It's a different kind of appreciation. Let's read chat. We're working on concept art for a new comic. I guess for my story, I can describe it. Basically, it's a technologically advanced world based on biology rather than silicon. Oh, bro, that's sweet. And by silicon, I think you mean like, yeah, for computers. Bro, that's sweet. If you have a title, drop it. I want to read it. That sounds sweet. What I feel excited about the most about writing characters is writing characters, so world building isn't really something I look into when planning on writing any fantasy type story anytime soon anyway. You're so good at drawing so many angles for your characters. Thank you. When do I usually stream? I'm planning on streaming more. I don't say I have a usual time, but like around now is good. We'll have to see if I get a schedule. Request for Hollow Knight OST. Yeah, if it's on Spotify, because I don't want to open up YouTube, let's do it. Video game OSTs are usually fine. Sweet. Yakuza has a surprisingly good OST. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, Hollow Knight. Let's get on to the actual albums that I'll play from here. Here we go. I'm usually just a silent watcher. This is actually my first time joining a stream and commenting. Welcome! I appreciate it. I appreciate you, whether you're commenting or not. We're just gonna have fun. We're just gonna have fun. Usually the tasks I like to do on stream are a little bit tedious. So, I appreciate you guys being here and getting to have this nice conversation. It definitely makes this process a lot better for me. Cause oh my gosh, I was so I knew that I was gonna have to do the hair flips, but then when I finished the last one of these head turns around, it really sunk in that I did a lot of hair turnarounds. I did a lot of head turnarounds, and that means I'm gonna have to correct every single one. Next time I stream, I'm gonna do base coloring, because I drew a bunch of extras for background art, because I wanted to make my own brush set for this. Because I think I talked about this before, but I want my like background to feel like very like US based. So I wanted there to be more like more diversity in like both ethnicity and body type in the background art. And a lot of the brushes that I was looking at that I think are good are made by Japanese or Korean artists, so they don't necessarily have that. And in addition, the bonus thing is a lot of my characters have a very specific look, because this is in like a magical land. So additionally, I was able to add that. So I think it made a lot of sense for me to draw my own, as much as I would have loved to just download a brush pack. But it is very tedious. It's a difficult angle. How many Japanese words do you need to know to understand? I could say, just like, you don't have to be able to like speak to understand, but you need a decent idea of like grammar structure, at least how to make words negative. So I wouldn't be able to say, I would say like, oh, it also depends on whether you're talking about like just watching anime, or you're talking about like reading a novel, or you're talking about watching tutorials. Those are all very different things. Because I feel fairly comfortable watching anime and just looking up words when I need to. But if I'm watching a tutorial, I feel comfortable doing that and look up words when I need to, because they're gonna use the same words over and over again. And what I'll do is I'll make a flashcards of words I see in tutorials a lot. And I'll memorize the kanji for them, and I'll memorize just the words in general. So then I need to look up less. If you're doing something that's like fairly specialized, after a while you get used to it. But if you're like watching the news, that's like a totally different thing. Or if you're talking to someone, like we have a family friend who's from Japan, and if she says simple stuff to me, I can usually understand, but I can't have like a full-on conversation. Because I just don't have that skill built up, because I don't talk in Japanese enough. It's like a similar thing for like French. French, I can't tell you how to learn that, because I learned that as a 5-year-old, actually a 4-year-old. So it's very different. I went to an immersion school, and what they'd do is you'd sing a lot of songs, and they'd point at things, and they'd say what the thing is, and then you'd be like, yeah, I'll remember that. And then hopefully you would. Otherwise you'd be lost, because everyone is only allowed to speak French. So that's how that goes. I gotta start studying Korean with my Duolingo. Oh, I know. I'm so excited. I'm very excited. Now that the virus is sort of like ending, I want to go out and I want to try more foods. Because I see all of this super tasty food in Webtoons, and I've tried to make some of it, but there's no way on earth it tastes right because I'm just not that. I'm a pretty okay cook, but I haven't had the food before, so I don't know if things are correct or not. But I definitely want to go out to more restaurants and try more types of food from different countries. There's this one really good, I think it was Filipino restaurant that my friends from college took me to when I graduated. I don't know if it's still in business, but I definitely want to go back there if they're still in business. That was really good food. I had like some ribs. It was excellent. How many of these do I have left? This is like the eternal... the eternal chart. Okay. Some of these angles, I don't know why they're randomly difficult. There you go. Dun. I love this rhythm. When I play a lot of music, it's rhythm like dun 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 dun. That's always such a nice rhythm. You know something good's gonna happen when you hear that rhythm. I think, is that syncopation? I don't know. It's been too long. That's one of those things, music's one of the things I'm sad about too, like, watching myself slowly forget things that I used to be able to go like, oh yeah, this is this exact rhythm. This is this exact chord type. And like, I kind of understand it, but then like the exact vocabulary like just flows away into time. It's just kind of sad. Like, the other day I went and I played cello for the first time in a while, and it was weird because my left hand was like, I don't know, I have a lot of dreams where I'm playing cello and my left hand is fine and it remembered most of the stuff, and I was able to play all the skills I learned and several of the solo pieces I had memorized. But then my right hand was like, the right hand is your bow hand. My right hand is just like totally out of sync. Like, for whatever reason, my left hand was able to remember almost everything. Probably not to the same skill level, but my right hand is just like, nope, not today. This isn't happening. Oh yeah, something interesting about these is like, a lot of these angles as I was doing it, like now it's easy to watch me do them because I'm just doing corrections. But there are a lot of angles that I realized as I was working that I did not do a single time in the original run. Like, let me show you guys with this. So, let's turn off the sketches. There's a lot of angles that I didn't do in the original run. So like most of the time I'm doing, of course, the front. These angles I do a lot. These angles I do almost never. These angles I do almost never. These angles I never do. These bottom ones, I was like, these took forever because I had no idea what I was doing because I had not really done any bottom shots of Aloe in the whole comic. Because like Aloe, the thing is, normally when I'm framing her, that, what was I saying? Normally when I'm framing Aloe, it's usually from above because she's meant to feel sort of like small. Because that's sort of ended up her character. I think I talked about this, but originally she was going to be a little bit more mature, but she ended up feeling a lot younger. But I would say she kind of acts her age more like real life than in shows. But, what was I saying? Yeah, I almost never draw angles like this for Aloe in the comic. And I don't think I ever did for the original comic. Because it didn't really make sense with this, the look. But now we've learned. We've learned. I haven't played violin in a while. I know how it feels. Do I use 3D for angling? Yes, I use 3D to help me with this. Not for all of them, but for a lot of the difficult ones. Cause like, I found this wonderful 3D model. I'm gonna show you guys on a new document because if I drag a 3D model into this, it defaults to making it like fit the whole thing. And so it's huge. And so it kills my computer. And I'm not gonna do that over stream. I found this wonderful 3D model that coincidentally almost exactly fit how I draw Aloe's head anyway. So I just make a couple of changes. So the key to drawing Aloe is one, her ears are bigger and they're a little more out. So it's gonna be more like around here. The mouth is at a similar angle and it's adjustable. You can cheat a little bit with the... When I turn this head, I have to cheat a little bit with the jaw or it doesn't look anime enough. Because what will happen is like... Let me show you. This is rounded at the bottom instead of like actually pointy because otherwise it wouldn't look like a good 3D model. So it's kind of hard to see with this lighting, but I sharpened that a little bit depending on the angle. And the eyes don't fit how I do her eyes exactly. So like, I think this is meant to be the top of the eye. But around the where they put the top of the eye is where I like to draw the eyebrow. So originally I was like, nah, I don't really want to use these. But then I found this one and it's like almost exactly the proportions I draw anyway. And it's just perfect. And then the other thing to keep in mind is I usually draw the necks a little bit skinnier. And I don't do the connection at the side of the head the same way that they do for this model. So, when you're using 3D models, I really recommend that you feel pretty confident in your drawing already, or else the 3D models are just gonna take over. But I do this connection to the ear a little bit differently too, I think. Let me just show you on this chart. Yeah. So it's a little similar. I don't think I always make the head as high, especially in the back. This would be probably the back of her head. But it would actually be out more because she has the massive hair. And the hardest thing is the buns. Ooh. It did a bad job, but that was definitely the hardest part because her buns they started out as circles if you look at my old drawings, but now they're really like weird shapes that are kind of tilted. So you have to have like, I don't do it perfectly in this chart, and I'm sure that I will go back as I get better at drawing and correct it, but like, you gotta understand perspective decently to do her buns. Cause it's just like, it's not a spear, it's a weird elliptoid? Question mark? Question mark. I don't necessarily use 3D models for my characters because some of them have faces that deviate too far from standard anime faces. Yeah, that's understandable. I think too, when you're doing designs, I don't like designing with the 3D models unless I have it out on the side because that stops you from coming up with unique faces. So, I really recommend the 3D models to save time, but you gotta be careful because you can fall into a lot of different traps with the 3D models that'll make your drawing look worse. But for this, it was helpful. But I still had to go in and figure out the buns. I think actually the most helpful thing is I made this TikTok, or I don't think I made it as TikTok. I made it as like an Instagram reel where I took a picture of every single, not every single one of these, but like I think the first couple rows. I just took a picture of this. Whoops. It's doing something. Let's let it do. I took a picture of this. I took a picture of this. I took a picture of this. Took a picture of this. And then it looks like it's animating when you do a little reel of it on Instagram Reels. And that helped a lot too, because like I think actually the best way to do this would be to actually animate it out and then copy paste the thing, because then you can see the lines consistencies and you can see where it like where it's like wonky very easily. And I tried doing that, but the issue with doing that is like it's very tedious to copy paste it back onto a sheet like this, because I can't leave it in that form, because then I'd have like, how many did I draw? 5 times 5. I'd have 25. Oh, plus 2. I'd have 27 layers, which is not ideal to copy paste from, I will tell you that. So, but that is a good way to do it consistently. I think definitely trying to learn how to animate helped a lot with me understanding form and perspective, because you have to really understand how things move in 3D. Oh yeah, using 3D models as poses is helpful. Also taking photos. If you can take photos, taking photos is better, because you'll get a more natural pose. There's this great Ethan Becker video where he talks about using video reference. And it's very helpful to just get out your phone and take a video of you doing something, because you'll end up creating like very natural references. I would say the downside of that is I can really just use it for certain characters. I mean, like if you're good at drawing, you can do it for any character, but like I have trouble taking a photo of myself and using it as reference for Aloe, because our body types are just completely different. Vera, I can alter it a bit and it'll look fine. But Aloe is just like so small compared to me, and her proportions are just so different. It looks kind of funny whenever I use myself as reference. But it'll look less wonky as I get better at drawing. Because, like, I think something too is that I've learned over the course of doing this. I'm gonna delete those. Something too that I've learned over the course of doing this is when you are inking or using 3D models, you can't think of it as tracing, you have to think of it as drawing on top. Because when you think of it as like literally tracing, your tracing is always gonna look worse. You have to think of like you're literally doing a new drawing that just happens to be on top of the old drawing. That's what works. I don't know why. It works for me. We're almost done, actually. Did my timer go off and then I didn't reset it? Video referencing is great for dynamic themes too. Yeah, I agree. Something I like too is I like to go on Sakuga Boru. It's a website that just has like various cuts from animation from anime, but they also have some Disney stuff on there too. I think a little bit. They have some Western stuff, but there's another site that's actually better for Disney stuff if you want to look at that in particular. But I'll go through that and I'll go in frame by frame, and you can see them rotate stuff. Like, let me pull up the site right now so you guys can see. Sakuga. There we go. So here's what the site looks like. I have a plugin so that you can guess who the key animator is for certain shots. I barely use it, but a lot of people who are super into Sakuga are able to look at animation and even tell who animated what cut sometimes. But like, what's helpful for me is I'll go through, and I'm using this more as inspiration. Obviously, these are someone else's drawings, so I'm not copying them. But like, I'll go in like frame by frame, and you can really see how the drawings move. It's even better when you see like pencil drawings instead of like a cut like this where it's finished. This is how I got better at shading too. Yeah, it's way easier to see on something like this. So if you go through this, you can really see, if you flip back and forth, you can really feel the 3D in the lines. And if you look at the color, that's usually the shadow or the highlights. In this case, the blue represents the shadow and the red represents the highlights. It's probably kind of hard for you guys to see. But you can see how that moves as the character moves while the light source stays the same. And I will just literally sit here and I will hit space, I will hit the period, comma, and I'll see how it moves back and forth. And it gives me a better sense of 3D and how to deal with light sources. But you can't just do it while you're doing other things. You have to actually pay attention. Cause like, you're trying to get your brain to do it yourself. Cause that was my biggest problem, I think, in learning art. My brain just wasn't processing the 3D shapes, even though I had a lot of proportions and stuff memorized, so I could copy something and it would look fine. But I couldn't draw from imagination at all, which is, I think, part of why my art improved so much over the course of this, because I got better at thinking in 3D. But like, they make it very, very clear in anime if you go in frame by frame. All of these 3D forms are very clear to me. Look at its eyes, it's so cute! It's so cute. Who animated? Oh, it doesn't say who animated this. It's so cute though. But yeah, I like to just go through the site occasionally. And it'll give me a lot of insight. Oh, this! Look at this. I haven't seen this before. Oh my gosh, look at it. It's gorgeous. It's very small, but it's gorgeous. It's from the Great Pretender. But, oh yeah, it's even more clear on this, the shading thing I was talking about. So for this, if you look at all the colors, the colorist doesn't do the shading in anime. They draw out the shading, and then the colorist will follow what the animator draws. So all of these lines are shading. Anytime you see shading in anime, whether it's like big shading or it's like fine detail, that's done by the animator. Or by the character designer sometimes. But depending on what kind of shot it is. It's so cool. It's so cool and it's so clear. It's so... I don't know, I just love it. I love it. Moving on. I'm almost done. Definitely watch Marco Bucci's videos. They've helped me so much. Yeah. I haven't been watching him recently, but I used to watch him in college. And I really enjoy his painting tips. He has such a beautiful technique too, and it definitely inspired me to, because I think he does a couple of videos where he goes and he does plein air. It inspired me to go out, and this is probably one of the most helpful things I did in college. And maybe one of the biggest benefits of me going to a big university, because I don't really like hanging out with people, is like, I used to go outside a lot, and I would do gouache paintings, I would draw in ink, or I would draw or just paint. And going to a big university, there's a lot of people, so it's like free real estate for figure drawing. Like, there's all kinds of different people who go to a big state university. I had a lot of people in their 60s and 70s in some of my classes too. And it's just the absolute best drawing reference to just go out and draw people just doing things. You'll see a lot of people just doing random things at college. If you go to like a cafe or something, that's nice, but it's not as random as just going out to a college quad. Because in a college quad, people are doing literally like all kinds of crazy stuff that you can draw. The worst feeling though is when someone realizes that you're drawing them. But like, what I like to do to challenge myself is I would put myself in like really weird positions. So like, not like weird poses, but like I'd go to like really high places or I'd go to like really low places to try and draw people. Because I got bored of just drawing people from straight on. And the worst feeling is being on like the 3rd or 4th floor of like a building and then looking down and then you make eye contact with the person who's several stories below you that you were just intensely watching. And they're like, what the fuck? Why is this person watching me from this high place? It's not a fun feeling. Not a fun feeling. But it's great drawing reference. Recommended. When I used to do animation, I used to just wing the staging. Now that I've learned the physics of lighting, I'll probably do it differently now. Yeah. I'm still working on learning the physics of lighting too. I bought Scott Robertson's rendering book. I'm still very slowly working through it because I'm very busy and coloring is not my main priority, but it's very helpful. But I can tell you, before the comic, I could paint from reference or paint from life fine, but I did not understand light sources enough that I could make up light sources in my head. For my comic, I do very simplified light sources, so there might be multiple light sources in a scene, but I'll simplify it down to just 1 or 2, or I'll know that an angle is incorrect, but I'll slightly adjust it so it's easier to draw. And I think most people don't notice, but I would like to get better at that. But you do cheat sometimes when you do a comic. Comic artists, now they're cheaters. Oh, I'm almost done. It's the first time I've seen this site. Thank you for showing me. Yeah, it's a great site. It's a great site. There's a pretty good animation community on Twitter for people who are Westerners who want to get into anime, especially if you speak French. So I'd really recommend following some people who are into that. Or the Sakugaboru site. I think they also have a Twitter. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons I'm on Twitter. Because Twitter is hard to find fans with. I mainly use it to follow artists who aren't on Instagram. Because a lot of artists don't like Instagram because of the algorithm. There's a lot of Asian artists who don't like Instagram because a lot of, let's be real here, Americans in particular will just straight up freaking steal their art. And that happens less on Twitter. There are some Asian artists who will just, if you are American, they'll just straight up block you if you follow them. And I don't blame them. It's because there's more of a culture of stealing art here and using art without permission for whatever reason. So a lot of people, there are some artists who don't like Westerners following them, but most people are fine with it. But, you know, it's a thing that happens and don't freak out if it does. Okay, and then this is the last thing. Oh, I'm almost done. There we go. I like Reddit a lot for art. Pixiv is great. Oh yeah, Pixiv is great too. I need to try Pixiv again. Because I used to go on Pixiv for a while and the app got very outdated, I think. So I got frustrated with it. But I do recommend Pixiv too. I think I got all of them. I have Twitter, but I don't like using it. But most of the artists that I like post on Twitter, yeah. That's the eternal mood. Twitter's kind of like the void. It's the void. But I have a good time on Twitter depending on some things. There are some people that like I like their art, but I will unfollow them or I will block them because I find their text posts annoying, and then when I unfollow them, Twitter keeps recommending them. It's like nothing personal, but it's just like I don't like what you have to say about the world. But yeah, that is one thing to keep in mind. Because I mainly am on Twitter for art. I don't do that with most people, but there are some people that Twitter just keeps recommending me, and I don't want to follow them. And it's like the only way to not see them, if that makes sense. But yeah, Twitter's not the best place, but it is a place. And there are people there. There are people on Twitter. Her top-down view is literally just marshmallows. Yes. Yes. I usually bookmark them and then watch without logging in. Pixiv is great. Personally, I like Instagram. It's more interesting than Twitter, but Twitter is better for posting images, ironically. I don't really use Twitter that often. Instagram is also the void. Both of them are the void. They're both different evils. I find different stuff on them. On Twitter, I do follow a lot of webcomic artists, but I don't look at my feed that often, to be honest. Mainly what I do, I go on, did I say Twitter? I mean Instagram. I use Instagram to find recipes to cook. That's most of what I do on Instagram. I follow a lot of artists. I don't really look at art there anymore. I mainly look at food. I will just watch cooking videos on Instagram for like half an hour before I go to bed. And then the next day I'll try to cook something. And it's great. There's a lot of great like recipes on there. Especially with like TikTok and Reels. There's just so many more people sharing like easy to follow recipes that I can actually understand. And I just like to cook. I like to cook. That's my hobby now. Here we go. I'm just doing some quick corrections and then I think we're gonna end for today. The other thing is like, there's sort of a balance to strike in this, because like, these are way easier to do from farther away. But like, the issue is like, I'll inevitably have some shot where I use it and it's like this close. And I'll have to go in and I'll have to clean this up a little more, but I don't feel like doing that. And it's probably better that I don't, because inevitably I'm gonna have to adjust these when I put them in. It's just part of the game. Both because my art's gonna improve, and also because obviously she's not gonna have this expression all the time. Twitter requires a lot of work to get noticed. I agree. Twitter, your best bet is to just follow a lot of people who are likely to follow you back if you want to grow there. Which is not really the strat you want to do for Instagram at all anymore. But like, Twitter, I recommend go follow other webcomic artists. And then it'll sort of get you in their algorithm, and then it will start to recommend you on that side thing to people who like the people that you followed. That's sort of how I build it up for when I used to do singing too. Twitter's a long game. Twitter's a long game. I'm not quite sure what the benefits are to posting on Twitter compared to other sites too are. I'm not sure that there's that many people with like big Twitter fan bases who are willing to buy all kinds of like merchant stuff. You usually hear that about other sites. But it is a thing. It is a thing. I literally never use TikTok. Should I get on the train? I would recommend it. I haven't been posting on TikTok because I don't have that much to post right now besides just like YouTube previews. That'll change very soon. But it is what helped me grow my audience the most at the very beginning until I started doing YouTube. And it's where I got most of my like reader, non-creator fans from. And I like TikTok. A lot of people make fun of TikTok. I like the Gen Z culture. I like the dumb memes that don't make sense. I like the anime references. It's great. I will warn you, when you first get started, it's gonna recommend you a lot of stuff that you're not gonna like. It will take probably half a week before it starts to recommend you the proper stuff. Because at first when I went on there, I was like, no. Because it was showing me a lot of like dance videos and kids doing stuff. But then after like a week of me being on there, it started showing me stuff that I actually enjoy, like anime, cooking videos, memes. I started to get TikToks about these like really obscure novels that I've read. And I'm like, I can't believe that anyone else has read this book and has decided to make a TikTok on this and that I actually understand this reference. But I do like TikTok. It's very quick. It's very quick. I would recommend trying a wide variety of stuff. Instagram Reels though. If you want to grow on Instagram. Instagram Reels, not as fun to make as TikToks. But that's how you grow on Instagram right now. I heard that it's being too addictive. Yeah, it is very addictive. It is very addictive. On Twitter, I feel like a core gesture. I feel like that on almost every site, except for maybe YouTube. I'm a teen and I have a lot of siblings, so whenever I want to cook, I ask myself if I'm prepared, if I can have some. I used to do daily challenges. I've used daily challenges and participating on art share threads. For Instagram, I don't like it when people just randomly follow me and expect to follow back. Yeah, I don't like that on Instagram too. That is not the strat in 2021. If you follow me and you unfollow me enough times that I notice, I will block you at this point. It just gets annoying. Like, I get people like following and unfollowing by accident, but like, if you've unfollowed me and followed me like 5 times to the point where I've noticed multiple times, you are getting blocked. Because I don't appreciate that. Let me see. It's better to have a small and engaged community than a large and disinterested one. I completely agree with that sentiment. You see a lot of people wanting to get maximum views, maximum audience. It's better to get an audience that really, really jives with what you're doing and are dedicated, because you'll end up getting about the same amount of like money or like engagement from a smaller audience that is like more engaged as a bigger one, but you'll get less like just crazy people. Like, I would rather like make 5 videos that in total get like 50,000 views than just get one 50,000 view video, even though that's more work, because you get more interesting, less crazy people, and I appreciate that. You guys, you don't seem crazy. I don't know you, but this is a good chat. I've had a fun conversation, but I wouldn't necessarily get that if I had a wild chat. Maybe I'd have a fun conversation. I don't know where I was going with that. But I think a smaller, more dedicated audience is usually better for a lot of different reasons, depending on what audience you want to go for. Yeah, I get that on Instagram too. I feel like I want to make a new Instagram account just because I don't want my family to see the art I post on it. Yeah, that's part of why I made the separate account for this one, not because I don't want for my comic. Not because I don't want my family to see my art, but just because I have some people from real life following me on the other one, and I didn't want to spam them. And to do well on Instagram, you basically have to spam. Some of my most engaged posts are me just like doing a weird doodle and then asking a question. And I don't think people in real life signed up to see that from me, unfortunately. Well, I think that's it. I finished all of these. I'm surprised I did finish all of these every stream. I feel kind of accomplished. There's no doubt that I will go back and do corrections, and at some point I'll have to redo this entirely. But hopefully this will save me many, many hours of drawing in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I have had a lot of fun talking to you all. And yeah. I'll give you guys some time to say bye, and then we'll be out. Yeah, thank you guys for coming. Thank you. Yeah, everybody go follow Adobo, my dear friend. My dear friend. Bye. You just barely missed it. Oh yeah, if you guys want to watch this later, I'll probably make a stream highlights version of this, but if you want to watch the whole thing, it will be unlisted on the front page of my YouTube channel. Sadly, I cannot leave these public because it makes my feed cluttered, and then it makes it harder for people to find regular videos. But hopefully one day YouTube will change that. But it will be unlisted on a playlist on the front page when this is done processing. Thank you guys so much, and goodbye for real.